All right, you guys. Well, thanks for coming on today. And to everyone out there, welcome to another episode of TJU on Air. And today I have some friends here who have done some tremendous things. And Christy herself has just such an amazing story, working herself into housing and from a tent and working and a broken tailbone and walking through probably the snow and everything you could imagine and still making it to work and saving up and getting herself her own place. um I mean, in a nutshell, that's the story, and I we're going to get to hear a lot more about it right now. So welcome, guys, and thanks for hanging out. And Mike, I'm really glad you get to join too.
I don't know why I'm getting emotional already.
I went to meet Christy because she really needed some help with her car. The car was given to her, and it needs a lot of stuff. So we took it in to get some tires. Shout out to All American Tires here in Reno. They're such good guys. Gabe's taking care of the car right now, and as it's getting worked on, we thought, why not record an episode, right? But as I approached you, you gave Mike here a hug, and you gave me some new news. Would you want to share that, or?
Um,
She was on the fence about me.
no, it wasn't that. It was I've always loved Mike. Me and Mike have been together since like May 18th of this year, and we were homeless together for a long time. And well, we met when I mean we started seeing each other. We met at least 2 years ago actually,
Two or
and
three, like
yeah,
3 years.
this when I was still married. And so we met and we didn't really talk much, and we didn't really know each other. My husband and him knew each other, and it's been a long time ago. But then me and Mike started hanging out probably about the time I broke my tailbone, and so we lived over on the river together. And we were both homeless, and he would push me from from our camp all the way to McDonald's for me to go to work on a was it a
Walker.
walker? Like
Wow.
I would sit on the walker.
Otherwise, she'd be like 3 hours late getting there.
And he would push me all the way over there because we didn't have a car or even a bicycle or anything. So and today or yesterday, no, on the 21st, 20th,
The 20th.
decided to move Mike in with me.
So I didn't think I would get emotional again, but she has endured a lot to do what she's doing. Um, for instance, when I first I mean, I've known her for like 3 years, but 5 or 6 months ago when I first encountered her, she's sitting in a parking lot at 3 in the morning. Her her husband has got her work clothes, everything she has to go to work, and he's disappeared. And still, she kept a job.
Didn't give up.
It's amazing to me. I mean, there's people I meet on the streets that have jobs, but to endure the stuff she's endured and still have the job is amazing to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I had to, you know what I mean? Well, he was just doing some bad things to me, and I just had to get away from him. So that I just said, I'm just gonna get a job.
She told me once though that that's the only normalcy she had was her job.
I would go in there and everything would just change. I mean, like I swear I was the only person I'd walk in there and everybody, hi Christy, hi Christy, hi Christy, you know, like what did I do? You know, I don't see other people coming in and working, they're doing that too, you know, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I'm just always nice to people. I'm just you know, I'm that's my thing about, you know, like no matter how people are mean to you, you know, or at the drive-through or wherever you're at, just be nice. You know, that's why I always tell them, and so that's just the way I am. I'm just a nice person.
So let's go, if we can, back to kind of the start and where it all began. At what point were you living outside?
I moved here from Utah, and me and my husband had everything going for us. We had a fifth wheel, a truck, and we followed his job. He was in the union, heavy equipment operator, so you know he made plenty of money. So you know I didn't have anything to worry about. And then when we moved here, he just got into drugs and women and that kind of thing, and didn't want to go to work anymore. So I had to get a job. We worked out at Chevron out in Boomtown because that's where we started out the KOA out there,
Uh huh.
and then just things went downhill from there when I had to do it all, then too. Anyway, he stayed home and played or whatever he did, And then we ended up outside because he wouldn't get a job. So, well, he had me move back to in Reno. He had me move and take away my job, and said he was going to get another job at one of the places here, um, and here in town, and it lasted one day.
Yeah, that's not very long.
Yeah, so that's what ended us up in on the streets, and I just got stuck out there.
And that was 3 years.
I even lived underneath the street on West 4th Street.
I remember
West
that.
4th Street, there's like a little thing that goes tunnel that goes from one underneath the street from on 4th Street, West 4th Street down there where the canal starts. I lived under there for one summer too, basically by
2 years
myself.
ago.
hmm
And at what point did you? So McDonald's is where you're at currently.
Yeah.
And at what point did you shift from work, not working and living outside to I can't, I'm gonna go work. I'm gonna do something.
Let's see, this one I met my friend Angie, the one that's my roommate. She was working. I heard she was working at McDonald's. Can you get me a job? I just started talking about that. It was just I was just sick of my being around my husband, and he wasn't ever going to change, and I was like, I have to do something. So Angie's like, yeah, I can get you a job right now. She was just come down to McDonald's, talk to Charmaine or whoever, and so I remember it raining, and me and my husband just got into a fight, and I had the interview that day. I almost didn't go in. I almost didn't go. I said, nope, I'm going to do it. I said, no matter what the situation is right now, I'm going in. And I went and talked to Charmaine. She gave me the job, and I've been there. I was there a year, and they offered me a position for management. I turned it down because I didn't feel like I was good enough, whatever, that type of thing. But my boss Jose kept asking me every day, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" So he kind of forced me into it, and I took it. And so Andrew says, "You're already doing it, Christy. You might as well get the money for it."
So it turns out you were more than good enough.
So, and I've been there for 4 years now. In November, I'll be there for
4 years.
Yeah.
So you've been working there 4 years.
My husband at the time pretending, I guess, to be schizophrenic. So he got this thing at Hope's, and that's how I got the job. I go back. They told us that I had to get a job while he went through his thing at the Hope's, and so that's what I did. I got the job. I did everything I was supposed to do, and he went and go to his meetings after that. And so we lost the. They just put us up in a motel or something, and he wouldn't go back to his meetings, and so we lost the place. Back on the street, we went. Yeah, that's just pretty much it. And I've been at McDonald's since, and thank goodness for I guess for Hopes that they pushed me to do that.
So yeah, and in a way that wasn't something that like you thought would get you to where you are today, but it was something that you knew you needed to do, and they gave you the little kick in the butt that you needed to make it happen. Do you think you would have done it without that? I think you would have.
Probably because I was just I just couldn't be around him anymore, and I was just trying to, I guess, escape him and just the things he was doing to me and wasn't right. So
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got out of that and you are where you are today.
Yeah.
And I'm more happy than anything that I was able to meet you and hear what you've been through and help you as much as I can.
Right.
And that shopping spree when we went into Walmart
Yeah,
was really
that was
cool.
fun.
That was fun.
That was great. Because I thought you were coming to ask me for a ride or something. I mean, you looked a little more clean than yeah. Because he's like he wants to ask you a question like that, and I wasn't even paying attention to the camera or anything. I was just like, what does he want? He wants a ride or whatever. I mean, I was just like, what does he need? So I just thought it was one of his friends, that I haven't met yet, and so yeah.
Well, when I approached Mike, he was flying his sign, and I've met Mike before, so as soon as I recognized him, it was like kind of a cool thing just to even say hi and see how he's been doing because I haven't seen him in a long time. I think the last time I saw him was when I came back. You had that dog, and I got all you guys ribs, and you weren't there when I came up and saw Ian, and he asked for ribs, but you were there when I came back. That was the last time I saw you. So then I saw you on that rainy day and asked what could I do to help you, and all you wanted was to get her a house plant.
I know, it's so cute. And I think I tell everybody this man has been so great to me, and I don't know what I was thinking before, not letting him just move in with me at the very beginning of all this, and because I know how he's been with me, and I thank him so much. I mean, because he could have took you and just used him for himself. Instead, he all he could think about was me, you know. And I love this man from the bottom of my heart, and
I don't
he's
know
he's
why
my
I'm so
best
emotional,
friend.
but I
he's
know
he's always
she's
been there
went
for
through so
me,
much.
and
She
he's
has went through so
always been there
much.
for me, and I love him so much.
That day when we went on the shopping spree, then that was the first day you got the keys to the place.
Yep,
You hadn't
yep,
even you had
I hadn't
nothing.
even been
yep,
seen it.
You hadn't
yep,
even seen it.
yep.
And had you been in it? Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
you'd
I
seen
seen
it,
it.
but you
Yeah.
hadn't. You just
I hadn't been in it since he had to clean it up and stuff, but I haven't been in it yet. We just went over and got the keys, and he says, "Should be all clean for you." And when me and my friend Angie got back, it was, yeah, it
Well,
was,
she just
it
got
was
the
empty.
she just got the notice that she was even getting it
Yeah,
like 2 hours before we
because
ran into you.
yeah, because I hadn't even moved anything in
She
until I
didn't even
seen you
know
at
she was
Walmart.
moving in that day.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah,
on
no,
my
no.
side of the story, I was helping a bunch of people in the parking lot that day that live up there, and people that I've helped on and off for a long time. And I saw you were up there on the corner, and I'm like, I was about to leave, and I was right at the last minute, and I asked some of the people up there, I was like, hey, you guys know who that is? And sometimes I ask just to get an idea. Occasionally they'll tell me like, oh yeah, that don't even waste your time. That person's not even whatever. But they're like, no, we don't know him. He's not normally up here. I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen him up here either. And then when I looked closer, I was like, "Oh, I remember him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go check on him. I'm gonna see what I can do." So I almost took off, and we all like everything. It's just
So like that day was a
Mhm.
trip the way the whole thing worked because I woke her up at like 1 o'clock. She worked the night before, and when she woke up, she's got a message that said, "Come sign the paper and you can move in." So she went and did that, and she comes back. She said, "I want to go get some sheets at Walmart." So I went with her, and I was there, and then I left to look for her, and I came back, and then I left. I told the other guy, "Here, you can have the spot," and I left again, and he didn't use the spot, so I came back again, and I was only there like 2 minutes when you walked up.
that's funny.
Mhm.
Oh man, that
And all I
timing
wanted
is
was some denture cream.
yeah.
No, I was thinking about my
Oh, you were
denture
thinking
cleaner
about it.
because they were in my
Oh,
pocket,
oh.
and my pocket had a cigar in it, so they got.
Yeah. Oh.
Because actually, I didn't even recognize you from when you took the ribs to Ian.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know who you were. I just seen you talking to Ian about
Mhm.
maybe going back to England,
Yeah.
but I didn't put it together that you were the same guy that I talked to a year ago, and I really didn't even put it together
Mhm.
until you said something to me
Cool.
at Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy how it all worked out. The timing on everything is just unbelievable. Um, I, I'm just happy it did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
am too.
And I mean, I told you I knew your tires are toast. There's not much left on the front of those tires. And then I heard the clicking on your car when you were behind me and we were going to your house with all the furniture and whatnot, or rug, not furniture, rug, shopping stuff,
Right.
and
Right.
microwave, whatever, a whole bundle
Right.
of goods.
Right. So
And I knew
grateful
that you
for.
needed more, and I knew that there's a guy that is, I knew that there's a shop locally that's really good about helping out, and I've worked with them in the past. So I was like, I know I can call Gabe over there and get something put together for you, and so like that car's gonna be a lot safer today than it was when we drove it over
And
there.
I thank you so much.
Yeah, no
I'm
problem.
so grateful for you
No
and
problem.
for
Yeah,
him.
the it
Because I
totally
wouldn't
makes
have met you
sense
if it
now the
wasn't for
rack and
him.
pinion because I was telling her underneath the car, the power steering fluid and the brake fluid it shouldn't go. They're closed systems. It shouldn't be going through that. But when I got under the car and looked, there's so much grease caked on the rack and pinion. I was telling her there's something else going on here. There's way too much grease underneath this car, so it's been leaking for a while.
So I'm myself am curious, and I know people out there are gonna be more than curious. Like, I mean, you went to work every day, or not every day, but every day you were scheduled, and you woke up in a tent. And I mean, the questions that I'm sure a lot of people have in mind, and myself too, how would you clean up? How would you get ready? How would you maintain and still go to work and keep it together?
And she did.
Honestly,
I'm telling you.
honestly, I just I would go either to McDonald's early, or I would go over to Gold Dust right there by my work and clean up. Or I had a friend that he lived in the trailer park across the street from where I lived, underneath the street. He let me come over and shower, few days a week, and just, or I'd always have water, you know what I mean? I always cleaned up, and it was, sometimes it was tough, and it was just, and I hated it, but most of the time I made it work. I had to.
So you only
I
hated
had
it
to.
sometimes, not all the time.
Huh?
You only hated it sometimes, not all the time.
Most of the time. Most of the time I hated it, but I mean, there was just days that were tougher than other days, and all I do is get by with 5 days, and then 2 days I had off.
So on those 2 days you had off, I would imagine that you're going and doing laundry and just like everything that you need to maintain going back to the 5 days. So you're never really with a day off because when you're living outside, the things that people that are inside that take for granted that we have the access to that's so easy, you didn't have. And you still made it work. That's so amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
It takes a lot of effort to be on the streets. It really does.
it really does. It's a lot of work.
And it's a lot more expensive.
Especially if you work, you know what I mean? It is a lot of work. I mean, some people just give up on themselves. I couldn't do that. I had to basically stand up for myself, you know what I mean? And why I didn't get a place sooner, because I didn't think I could do it. I guess I didn't have, I had bad credit, whatever the case may have been. But I just wasn't in the position to even think about getting a place,
Yeah.
on my own. I mean, like now, I mean, if I known what I know now, I would have done it a long time ago, honestly.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't know I could get into a place.
You had some persistence, and in my opinion,
Yeah, I mean,
you a little bit of luck on your side for that landlord to
yeah,
kind of persist.
because it's through
talk him into-
it was through a property, I mean, it's through a management property that I got the apartment through. And normally those kind of places you don't get into when you have bad credit
Yeah.
or bad things that are,
She was persistent.
yeah.
That's how you have to be, right?
Yeah, and then the lady from Crossroads helped me too,
Oh, okay.
So she helped me pay my first month's rent and my deposit.
And that's through a program they have?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Crossroads through they help you with housing and stuff. So that was a blessing on my side. I don't know,
But the landlord didn't normally take that. And
but he did run a
lot of
credit.
don't.
He did run a credit thing. He said it was a little low, but I think whatever they decided, Crossroads and him, the lady from Crossroads, I give my whole life to, thank goodness. And so she's an amazing lady, and because I think whatever they decided was help me get into a place. I think, and I had a job for 4 years, too. That maybe that helped.
Yeah.
That helped a
Yeah.
lot.
Maybe that helped.
Yeah. You had work
you know,
history and it wasn't a new
Helped a
job.
lot.
And
Yeah.
you had income.
And so, just being at my job that long, I think it helped. So it was just, it was a blessing. I mean,
Did you have to move camps a lot? Did you ever come
Yes.
back from work and
Yes.
have all your stuff
Yes.
gone?
Yes, all the time.
Yes.
All the time, starting over all the
That's-
time.
That's what I said. I would trip out on how she would be able to show up every day to work.
I think everybody out there just needs to take a second and imagine what it would be like if you came home from work and your home was gone and you had nothing, and yet you still make
The
it
city
to
would
work the
come and
next
just
day.
plow our stuff down. I mean, just plow it down. I've watched them do it 2 or 3 times, just plow our stuff down. And I think it should be against the law to do that, because that's our whole life, being out there. When you're out there, it's sad.
It's amazing how easy it is to get stuck out there.
Yeah.
And because then you
It
end up
is.
spending so much of your day trying to recoup basic stuff.
Yeah.
Like change your clothes.
And you got to worry about the next day. Are they going to come? Are they going to come and take our stuff? I got to go to work. Is somebody going to steal my things?
Man, that's mind blowing that you can go to work, stay focused, still get your job done, stay on task when you don't know if your stuff's gonna be there when you
I had to
leave.
leave it outside. You know, I
And
had to
she would have
leave
to
all that
trust somebody to
outside.
watch it because
My
she was
whole,
alone
I had
for
a
a
new
while.
family, new life in McDonald's. When I worked for McDonald's, that's the way I felt. When I walked in McDonald's, it was a whole new, like my family was there. My life is there. It just like it totally changed from 1 minute to the next,
And
And
Mike, did you watch her stuff a lot to help her out, or?
Oh,
when we started dating, yes.
it all got
But
the whole thing got taken one time.
yeah,
We
it
left
was a
somebody
few
there to
times.
watch it, and we came back,
It's been a few
and
times.
it was gone. Everything was gone.
So you guys, you weren't dating the entire time or friends the entire time. So there was a lot of time you were by yourself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was by herself.
Yeah.
And what was it? I mean, that's another question I've had on my mind. I haven't really been able to ask anyone yet because I've rarely ran into a female that was actually living outside by herself.
And I don't know how these women do it because I know I have a lot of fear being by
They have
myself.
dogs.
How'd you do it?
They usually have dogs.
I worked graveyard. I worked graveyard.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Being able to work at night, sleep during the day.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a long
Ah,
period I worked swing, but then I was with somebody, or whatever. I was just with somebody or camping with somebody next to me or something, But when I worked graveyard, yes, I was by myself a lot. So I would work graveyard, so I wouldn't be out there in the nighttime, and then I'd sleep during the day. So, but it was it was still tough. It was still tough.
of course.
Because then here they come plowing
Yeah,
our stuff
it's-
down or trying to, taking my things and
Yeah,
so.
that's it. In the last 4 months,
And I just
noticed
can't
all
believe
your
they
stuff
they
has
were
been
allowed to
taken
do
twice.
that.
All
City.
and everything. Makeup, make just all the stuff that then you end up spending all this other time and money acquiring this stuff again,
Yeah.
and it all
I
just
swear I
goes
did that
away
every
again.
2 week. Every 2 weeks I got paid.
Clothes,
I
makeup,
had to start over.
everything.
You know,
Every 2 weeks you had to
every
start
two
over.
weeks.
Never heard
Seemed
her
like I had to.
complain hardly ever.
And so it just became SOP. It was a standard operating procedure. You're gonna get off of work, and all your stuff could be gone, and you might have to start over, and it might be a long day. You might not get much sleep,
I
but you're
mean,
still gonna make it to
you can
work.
ask my boss every day, every time I'd have a new,
She
I'd have
never
a new,
complains.
I'd have a new phone number every week for them. I'd have a new,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have the shoes or I wouldn't have, the clothes, which they always had shirts for me. But he was like, Christy, where's your stuff? Christy, where's your clothes? Where's your pants? And he'd always, or you can ask my boss this, and he's just, he'd always be on me about a phone because we needed phones as managers. We have to have phones,
and
and
I lost her phone. First time
oh,
I only had it for an hour,
You don't
that,
seem like that was like a
and
big
so
bummer.
I got a
Like,
new. Yeah, it was a huge one because then when she got paid, she had to buy a new phone, and then she lost it because on the streets it's hard to hang on to stuff. You're just not in the same routine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not like coming home and hanging your key on the
But people would
same
always
place
steal.
every
It
day.
wasn't so much I would lose my stuff, but I would like people steal. They take my phone.
And then
I would always,
yeah, that's what
I swear,
happened.
every other week
her
I would
new
always
phone
have a
got
new
stolen,
phone.
actually.
That was a
And then
big
so I
thing
got
for
a
me
new
at work.
phone and gave it to her.
But
Now we
but
got two
things
phones.
things are a lot better today. I tell you, I'll admit that it's a lot better today, having a place to shower and do your laundry, and because in my apartment,
The
there's
same
washer
bicycle.
dryer, there's same bicycle I have, or
It's not going to be
but
stolen.
now I have a car. Thank
It's
goodness.
so hard to keep. A bicycle is
Thanks
so
to
hard to keep out there.
thanks to you, I have a purpose in life, I guess. Thank you. I
To
mean, I have
me?
yeah, to you because
Really?
you could get my car fixed. I mean, you're very helpful. I mean, just putting me ahead of what I need to be, where I need to be. It helps me a lot. Thank you.
No, that's what I do this for. On that note, I mean the camera thing. Like the time when I approached you. I mean, it was pretty clear. Like after when I first walked up, you didn't notice it, but I explained to you what was going on, what we were gonna do. And I'm curious because I still get a handful of negative stuff out there, and people saying that filming people in tough situations that are facing hard times is wrong. And I don't totally agree with it. I think that everyone's just as deserving as anyone else. And if anything, shining a light on the situation and showing what's really going on out there is going to be really good for people to understand of what it's really like and respect what you guys go through when you're in a situation like that. And hopefully treat you more fairly, and because at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. We're all on this earth.
Not only that, but people don't know exactly how we got there, and it's not always drugs or alcohol or things like that. It's not always that case.
Or laziness or anything else.
Yeah, and I just I mean, it could be like a situation like with my ex-husband or husband or whatever he is to me today, and I just I let him put me there, and I shouldn't have. I should have been stronger than that. But I pulled myself out, and
Relationships like that are tough because
Yeah.
there's love there,
We
and
were
you
together
you
for-
try so
Bizarre
hard for so
dynamic.
we were
long.
together for 21 years. I mean, I was supposed to depend on him. He depends on me, and it just went one way. Where he depended on me to do everything, and I don't know. I don't know why it went sour, why it went the way it went. Well, I do, but uh,
But you let it drag you down a little bit, but
Yeah.
not
no,
enough to tear you
no,
down completely.
No, because he just made me sad. And this guy makes me smile every day, and it took me to be homeless and all this other good stuff just to find a good man.
Yeah.
And he's really a good man. He really is.
That's crazy to see. Like you found love
Yes.
on the streets.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And there's a lot of, and on that note, there's a lot of people that get in relationships that live outside, and they do it just because of safety, or
Yeah.
a woman gets with a guy that
Yeah.
they don't necessarily really like, but they feel safe and they don't know
Right.
what else to do.
Right.
That isn't what happened with
And
you
I
guys.
went through that a couple scenarios. Yes, I did. I did go through that, but not this time.
No, I can tell. I can see that. This he's more emotional than you are.
I am.
I know.
'Cause there's a lot that we won't talk about, and she has been through a lot, a lot. I'm still, I've always been blown away that she was able to keep the job.
What was like the worst thing that happened to you that you're willing to share? What was like the worst thing that happened to you while you were out there in this whole, process?
Breaking my tailbone was the worst because
How'd you do it?
I fell on a hill. I was up camping by myself right before when I met him.
She moved locations to get away
They-
from her ex.
Yeah, and I was living up on McCarran
Hiding,
Hill.
kinda.
And a friend of mine said, "Here, you have my campsite. Nobody ever find you here. You're safe. I'll check on you every couple days. Whatever." And he would come and we'd always miss each other. Like when he'd come check on me and and I went up the wrong side of the hill, thinking it was summertime, and I was thinking, well, I better not walk through that way. It might be a snake or something. So I turned around and walked back, slipped and fell in the sand, and I hit. I didn't think I fell that
Was
hard.
Was it during the winter? Was it
No,
icy and
this
snowy
was
or stuff?
this was summer.
Summer. Okay.
Yeah, it was just this
Like
last.
May.
It was, yeah, and
Okay.
I slipped and I fell, and I had things in my hands trying to go up the hill, and decided to just hang on to the stuff in my hands, and I just fell, and I'm hit hard, I guess. And I didn't think I hit that hard, but I mean, I didn't heal for almost 8 months. It was 6 to 8 months. I didn't heal.
It's
Wow.
only been 5 months, but she's still
No, it was 6, 8,
May,
6 to 8.
June, July, August, September, 5 months.
No,
But
seemed longer.
but she still has some of the pain. But she was in a lot of pain, and she still showed up to work. I mean, she wouldn't even take the pain medication because it made her too drowsy at work, and she still showed up to
You
work.
grinded through all of
With
that.
that and this other thing going on with the relationship, trying to hide from this guy, just the whole thing is just incredible to me. That
And then
she,
you
Because he
guys
would-
and she
met
never really complained.
at what point?
Well, I met her
2 years before
a
that.
few years ago, and I'd seen her here and there, but I'd never really talked to her that much.
When did you become close?
It was right before I cracked my tailbone. We started talking.
So I had a crazy relationship myself, but I had a tarp camp over there
Where
Like
he
you
stays
don't-
now. Where he stays now.
where,
Where he was
where I've
staying.
always kind of stayed until recently when the security started chasing everybody off the freeways and throwing everybody's stuff away. If you're not there, they throw your whole camp away. So like me, lately I'd put the tent up at night and take it down right in the morning, and I don't have anything there,
But
So we met kind of over there.
right before I broke my tailbone, we met. We started talking.
Yeah, because I came through that parking lot.
Because I was staying there and with my tent, remember? I just got a tent and I was staying there trying to get away from my ex and I already knew a few people there, that we had acquaintances. And then I was like, well, so I was up on McCarran Hill. I said, well, I'm going over here because I'm going to get far away from him. But we both had a phone where we started texting each other and talking.
And she would walk from McCarran to work.
Yeah. So that's about a mile, maybe 2.
Yeah, I would walk on
with a broken tailbone.
No,
not.
But we moved to the
that.
opposite side just as far away.
Right before that, I was walking back and forth. But as soon as I broke my tailbone, I moved back
by
to that spot.
Yeah, we're over by the university.
Yeah, so I'd be closer. But then my friend Angie, she says,
she
guys,
give her a ride sometimes.
She says that I'm gonna take you guys someplace that you guys will never have to move.
He won't find Lewis.
Lewis ain't gonna find you.
And he didn't.
And so don't blow that spot. Don't tell me exactly where it is.
Now the spot is blown, but he didn't find it.
Yeah. So we moved over there, and that's when we started seeing each other and
so at first,
time.
were you just friends, kind of taking care of each other and helping each other out? It wasn't anything more than that.
No, he was just helping me out because I had broke my tailbone. I can't do nothing. I mean,
no, I'd known her. I met her a few years ago. I gave her a kitten about a year ago.
What happened to the kitten?
This lady.
She sold it.
This lady. Well, no, it wasn't like that.
It's
it was
okay though because
this lady. She came. had it in front of it was a grocery store, and I remember walking to my to another camp I had, and I had the kitten, and this lady's like, oh my god, that kitten is so cute, and she was so she looked like a little model cat.
I was glad to get rid of the kitten.
She was so cute, and she this lady's like, I'll pay you for that cat, and she goes, I have 3 little girls that would love that cat, and so I was like, no, you don't have to. I said, but I really don't want to give her up, and so. But here I am homeless, and so I was like, she comes out. She goes, how much do you want for that cat? And she's like, I said, just whatever, So she gave me $40 for that cat for her little girls. And I knew it'd go to a good home. So
when I gave her the kitten, though, and I didn't even know until months later that I thought you stayed with him in the motorhome.
No.
And so when I gave it to her, that's what I thought. But I was glad to get rid of it because where I was staying, I was working on this house.
Well, I was for a day. He would always let me stay one day, my ex. And then because he had a motorhome he lived in. And
she would be in the tent on the other side of the street.
And he would let me stay because, he was...
Yeah, so anyways, I was glad to get rid of the kitten because where I was staying, I was working on this house. And the lady had like 5, 6 kittens. And I was just trying to find places to put them.
So cute. Oh my gosh, she was so cute.
Well, and today
she looked like a little Barbie doll. I swear.
Some pretty cute puppies that I saw.
Yeah.
Those are cute.
Yeah, they are cute.
A little bit of work, but
a lot of work.
Yeah,
man.
But it'll be good.
Yeah, they're just like kids. You're taking care of. You have a newborn.
Mm-hmm. Your whole life
a little easier than a newborn, but not
a lot easier. But they operate the same way. Feed them, let them sleep and eat.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I have 2 grown kids. They live in Utah. Mm-hmm. They have babies of their own.
And when you were going through this whole thing, because this is a question a lot of people always ask, where's your family at? Why? And I know they're probably too busy doing their own stuff.
No, they wanted mom home the whole time. They, it's I have a great family that love me unconditionally. I have family. My whole family lives in Kansas, like mom and I have my kids live in Utah. That's where I raised my kids. And they live in the Salt Lake area. They great kids. They have families of their own, doing their own thing. Always wanted mom home. I just wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it? You didn't want to be a burden? Or?
Yeah. I just didn't want to put that burden on them. I married that man. I'll get it out. I'll get my way out. I wasn't going to take it home to them. They begged and begged, Mom, come home,
And then now they know you're in a place and that you are where you're at. And
they love their mom unconditionally. No matter what. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then have they came to see you, or are there any plans of you guys visiting or anything like that?
My son had just bought a brand new car. Like 3 days later, somebody stole it.
Oh No.
Yeah, he got it back.
Okay.
Thank goodness. He wants to come see me. He's just building that money back up,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I think they're gonna come out and see me. And I said we got to do this at least every other year. Maybe I'll come out and see you. 'Cause I used to do that when we had money. We just, me and my husband were making money. We'd always go home to them, and just let them live their life, because they had families raising their kids and stuff. So we just, I never took money from them. And of course, my mom doesn't have any money. I've been poor my whole life. I don't really care about money so much. I just care about happiness.
Yeah.
And so I just want to help everybody else, and just like you, I feel like that.
And she does help a lot of people.
But I'm a Sagittarius, so that means a lot if you know what Sagittarius means. But I have a great family.
So you grinded through it, did it on your own, and now you're in a place where you guys can start visiting each other again, and I'm sure they really respect you for everything
My
you've
son
done.
probably said something to you online. I don't know, on
Oh,
Facebook.
maybe. I
He
don't
just
know.
wanted to thank you, and he put me on Facebook, and he said, "Mom, can I put you on Facebook?" I said, "Well, yeah," because he puts everything on Facebook. He's a Facebook person. He got on there and thanked you.
Okay.
So just let you know who he is.
Okay, I'll look a little bit deeper now.
Okay.
It's so hard for me to dig through all of
Yeah.
that stuff. I do the best I can,
He's a
but
great
it's
I
kid.
could imagine so. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
now that the socks and hats, that's a whole new thing, and it's like another job on top of the other 10 jobs that I'm doing. I do have some help here or there, but we're all learning from scratch, so it's cool though. Um, but anyway, that doesn't that's not important. The important thing is that we're able to do what we are, and I'm the one that's the face and in the front, but Gaio is the one who edits my videos, who's not here today, who also runs his own podcast and has helped me get all of this off the ground. And I wouldn't be able to do it the way I do today without his help. And my girlfriend that you met when you guys walked in, she's the one she's very quiet. She doesn't talk to many people, but she does a lot in the background too. And so that's the little team we have as of now.
Nice.
And we're building it in a way in which people like yourselves, because Mike, and I know you've offered, and you have offered too, on what anything you guys could do to help. And I've got a handful of people that have done those, offered help like that. So I want to put something together where people can come help. And the goal eventually is to build a company that's cool enough to where, or I shouldn't say cool enough, but big enough to where I can give people jobs and offer them the things they need to, if they're ready to get back inside and get on their feet, and be an employer that's like, hey, oh, you don't have ID, you don't have this, you don't have that. Well, let me help you get that. And the moment you get it, you're ready to go. Just come on in. I got something for you.
That's huge.
Yeah. Nobody does that right now.
That's huge.
And so many places are like, you could apply for a job, but you got to do it online, and then you go through, fill the form out, and it's like, you past residences, and you're like, dude, I've been living on this. Where do I put where my tent was last month? Like, what do I do? And then if you don't fill those boxes, you don't get looked at as quick as someone who did fill it. And even though it's a dumb thing. So having an employer say, hey, here's an application, you can fill it in person, shake your hand and meet you and talk to you and get it. We don't have that anywhere anymore.
Right.
So I want to build something like that again, and work with the limitations that are out there. This is just the beginning. But I'm just being able to meet people like you guys is what keeps me going.
Well, we're thankful for you too. I mean, you're doing an awesome job. And
An absolute awesome job.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
fully.
you.
I mean, I'm not fully aware.
I mean, I've heard and I've seen the things you do, and
When I looked at
it's
the
amazing.
content, I said to her, "This is a busy guy. It takes a lot to do what he's doing. I mean, it does.
And it takes a
to get it to go off the ground the way you have, and to be able to help the people the way you do, and to have the personality you have, and to have not just that, to have the ideas and thoughts. The little bit of time I spent talking to you is it's awesome, actually.
Yeah,
Some
well,
of the
it's
thoughts
funny.
that you've ran by me are great.
Oh, and we've had some similar ones. And that's what I thought was so cool.
That's what he was saying.
But
Some of
you're
the
able to
ideas
make
you
it
had, I was
happen.
like,
That's
I
what's
had
huge.
that too.
It's huge to be able to make it happen.
You were just kind of been on the side this entire time, and we don't know your story, and nobody knows where you've came from in this whole picture, other than you guys now being happy together. But at what point did you become homeless, and when did you? I remember you were saying that it's a bizarre story.
I got here in Reno. I came here to quarantine from
Hmm.
Los Angeles with a girlfriend.
Okay, and wait, so that part you had to quarantine, so you decided to come
Well,
here,
at the
or
very beginning of the pandemic, when you're not so much the homeless people, but the very beginning of the pandemic, there was all this fear going on,
Mhm.
right? And so the girl I was with part time, uh, and her girlfriend, had a house out here that they owned, and so they said, and the house was empty. So they said, let's go out to Reno and sit still for 2 weeks and make sure we don't have no
Mm,
COVID. This is
okay,
right whenever all the panic was going on. So that's how I got here.
okay,
And uh, we get in an argument. She went back to L.A. and I stayed here.
and
And I was already on the streets here within like the 5th day, so I never even did the 2-week quarantine. uh, so that's how I ended up on the streets here. And
had you ever been on the streets before that
yes,
happened?
in Los
Okay.
Angeles with it. I left the desert like 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, to be somebody that found me on Facebook that knew me when I was young, that we knew each other. So I left the desert and a lot to go pursue this Los Angeles thing, and that whole story got crazy. But that's how I ended up out here, the same lady.
Oh, okay,
And yeah, so that's how I
okay.
ended up out
So
here.
since
And
you've
then
been,
I got nobody to blame but myself because I've worked in LA the year before I got here. So I did get the pandemic unemployment. And I couldn't think of where I wanted to go. And I was on the streets here, so I kind of stayed on the streets here.
mm, okay,
I mean, yeah, like I said, I got nobody to blame but myself. Um, and then what happens is, like I said, you can spend so much time just almost survival mode is a totally different mode, totally different. In fact, when my ex went back to LA and then she came back out here about a year later and bought a house out here, and she calls me and she says, "Hey, can you recommend any restaurants? Good What do you think I'm doing in Reno? I'm on the streets." you know, I mean, like she has no concept of survival mode. Some people don't, I guess,
she got
and
it.
that's not a bad thing.
you're like,
Just be
so
aware of who you're talking to.
the donut shop throws out a lot of donuts every morning.
That's
That's
a
a
whole
great
nother
place.
story.
She got an inheritance that she could do all that,
Yeah,
and
Well,
fly. She
I
got
don't
a
know
lot
if
of
it's
money.
even that, or just some
She
people
just
don't have a concept
but
yeah,
of what
yeah.
it is.
I've seen that
I
too.
have a good friend that made a lot of money a lot, and we made good money when we were young, but he has forgotten where he had came from, and he's just got no concept of certain things for some reason. It's not a bad thing, I guess, but survival mode is a whole different mode. And in my opinion, that's why relationships on the streets don't work. You always see these couples yelling and screaming, and when you're in survival mode, your needs aren't being met. You're frustrated, and you're constantly trying to meet your basic needs.
Yeah,
And
the
so
things
forget
that
thinking about
yeah,
dining in a restaurant. You know what I mean?
yeah.
yeah, when you
It's
have
just a different
everything.
mode.
The things I see people fight over
It's
that are
crazy.
live outside that make the like a big deal out of something that for people that live inside would
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
I know.
And
I
things
know.
become, and yeah, survival mode's a totally different mode out here. And then the elements, being snow here, and then the heat. That's probably the hardest thing on me the last couple of years is the heat. I can do the snow, I can do 2 degrees, but I had severe heat exhaustion. So now I don't, I can't be in the sun very long without getting sick. So this last summer I got sick like a month ago for about a week.
okay.
Yeah, so then you're still in survival mode, but you know,
How does time fly by when you're in
it's
survival mode outside?
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think back 3.5 years
It's,
I've been here. I mean, I haven't been on the streets the whole time. The time goes so quick. However, I can't say that I would do it any different.
but he was like in a situation like I was in. She'd always kick him out, when it wasn't her way, or The way I understand it, she's she's not a very nice lady. I met her, and all she does is she would just bash him. And he was never the way she's talked about him. He's never been like that with me. And it's
No, she has a vested interest in portraying me a certain way, and that's a whole nother story.
but she's a different type of woman too. You know what I mean? She's a different type of woman than I'll ever be. So, just the way she would bash him, and her and Angie are friends, and
I don't know that we need to
well,
talk so much about all that.
no, what I'm saying, well, I'm trying to get to the situation, to the point where how I know her, because
Honestly, I may write a book because it's that bizarre. There's
but
people.
make a long story short, she was the same way, like with my ex did to me. She'd kick him out every day, every other day. You know what I mean? To be honest, I mean, I should have been kicking him out because I paid for everything over there, but he was in the same situation. So I think
You go back because the elements, or you wore out, you go back, and it's just the same.
And I think we made each other feel good about each other, just because we never had to do that to each other, or just we got tired of living like that.
My editor, Gaio, he also lived outside for a little while. And I say a little while, could have been a long while. He's like, I can't really put together how long it was. Like, I don't really remember how many months, if it was a year. Like, time was just different.
Because
it's totally different.
Yeah.
You're right. Time is totally different. 3 hours can turn into whatever, just when you're trying to go get whatever you're trying to do. It's just a whole different world. So just be able to maintain a schedule.
Well, just one day led into another. If you're out there, just one day goes into the other, and you don't know sense of time, sense of what day it is. If you're out, living outside, unless you work, of course. But I mean, because I had to know the dates and the times, and
that one day I forgot the
stuff.
day, and you got all mad. Remember?
Yeah, and so I
went to work, and you didn't have work after she broke her tailbone. She went all the way to work.
Yeah, and I didn't even have to be there. But
and it was a trek
it
to
was
work.
things like that things you don't even think about if you're not working. You don't think about those things, and I didn't have to. I couldn't blame him for that, but I just, because it was it's on me to get to work.
Well, you said something though. You said like your family was that you had your family at McDonald's at work. So like your stable place where you actually felt at home, where you had stability, was the job.
Normal.
It was like 9 day. I mean, like I had my street life, the life that I didn't really want to live, but then as soon as I walked in work, it was like I was home. Felt good. It was just a whole different. Soon it just clicked like that. As soon as I walked in those doors,
That's
something
crazy.
was different.
For a lot of people, I feel like it's the opposite. It's like work is nuts. I just want to go home to my regular whatever.
Not for me.
That was your stability, and that's what helped keep you going. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing. Like,
I
the situation I was in with my ex, and I just, that was my getaway from him.
So, if you're in a situation where work is your most stable place,
I call it the dirt. I call it living outside, living in the dirt. I call it,
Okay. I say living outside.
It's dirt.
I don't like to just say that people like homeless all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to use that once in a while because a lot of people don't
call it
understand.
The dirt.
But yeah,
because
I call it outdoors.
Because
people.
I mean, you're always dirty. No matter how well you try and keep clean, you are constantly dirty. I swear.
I lived in the desert for a little while, and I just had a cabin on 5 acres, nowhere near what you guys were going through. But at the same time, it's like every time I turned around, everything had dirt on it everywhere.
Yep, and
It's
that's
like you
exactly
just dirt. You sweep the floor and you turn around and you're like right behind you. There's dirt again, and you're like, at some point it's hard not to give up. It's a lot more work, and you didn't, and you kept going. And and if you don't want answers, you don't have to. I don't care, but I don't think we answered the question of where did you shower?
I told you I just either I'd bring water to my tent, I'd have water either there, I clean up every day, or I would go to Gold Dust in their bathrooms, or McDonald's. I'd go to work before, and clean up, or I would and most of the time I was just too embarrassed to just go to my work and clean up. So I just always go over to Gold Dust or one of them,
But it was never
She
an
would boil
actual
water.
shower.
No.
Not a lot of times, no. Until I met a friend of mine that lived across the street in the trailers. He finally got a place, and he would let me come shower for a little while, and that just lasted a little while, and then he got kicked out of his trailer. So
She would boil water.
why, like, you're making money,
Yeah,
you're
I
getting
had a.
paychecks. Why didn't you get a room once in a while or did you?
I did every once in a while, but not always.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
I know it seemed like I was just constantly buying tents and
It's
constantly
just
buying
constant.
every
It's
paycheck
constant.
went to.
It's crazy.
I mean, it was crazy. Just trying to keep things clean for me, because I had to go to work and like keep my clothes clean and keep my, that was just a constant thing. If they didn't, people weren't stealing it or taking it while I was at work
Uh,
or they plowing it down from the city.
Did you pretty much live off of McDonald's food the
Yes,
entire time?
yes,
And you're still here.
yes.
You're doing just fine.
Yes,
You're doing just fine.
yes.
So it's not as
One of
bad
these
as
days
people
it's gonna
think.
catch up to me. I swear. It's
No,
gonna.
I think in moderation everything's fine. That supersize me,
I
that
don't know if
guy
it's in
went supersize
moderation.
on everything. Supersize isn't even a thing anymore.
No, it's
so,
not. I
but
think it is in California. They even have mini meals. I think.
really,
Yeah,
okay,
I
because
think.
I don't know if you've
That's
seen
the way I
that movie
understood it.
that guy,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and Dave or whatever his name
he was
is,
like almost
or
dying and falling
Jared.
apart.
What's the name? I think
I
I
forget.
can't remember his
his
name.
name. Oh, I
Anyway,
forget his name.
yeah, I
But
can't
yeah,
remember.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
but he did a
the director is that who talking Michael?
No, his name
Michael
was
Moore?
no, the guy, the redheaded dude. I can't remember his name, but he did another he did another one where he started his own fast food joint, chicken place, and went deep into that whole thing recently. Anyway, you lived off McDonald's for a long time, and you're still here kicking, doing just fine.
yeah, fine.
If anything, it kept you alive, so that's pretty amazing. Mike, I'm curious, like. I'm assuming I've seen you all over the place. You're always helping a lot of people. You get around a lot. You have to have seen some stuff, dude. What's like one of the craziest things you've seen now that in Reno living outside?
Yeah,
Oh.
there's plenty of crazy stuff. There's no shortage of it. And unfortunately, it starts to get normal.
Ah,
So by the time that some girl said that her boyfriend killed some guy or something.
Oh, okay, here's one. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
that, I used to keep a journal. And I haven't lately, but because there's so much crazy stuff that goes on. I'll start with, I guess, maybe the first crazy thing that happened here, aside from some my ex hitting me and dialing 911, thinking I was going to get arrested. Okay, and I've never even hit a girl in my life, ever. So when I first got here, and I was a little bit, I was concerned that my ex would do some crazy stuff because she's definitely got priors, crazy shit. So I had a tent over there by the police department when the Black Lives Matter, when they tore up the library or City Hall or whatever, and the guy in the tent right next to me got shot to death, and his name is Mike. I'm thinking, oh, they got the wrong Mike.
Oh man.
Okay, so that's my first, I
Oh.
just got here when that happened. And then they wouldn't let me back to my tent because they had the National Guard had the whole bridge blocked off. You couldn't get by the police department. All that was going on.
This guy that got shot next to you, you didn't.
I didn't
see
know him. I didn't
And
know
you-
him. But
you
I had
didn't know
heard,
him?
I was on this side of town when they did that curfew, and
Yeah.
they said, "Oh, we heard Mike got shot. He's got a tent right there by the police department, by the river, the first one by the river." Well, that was my tent. I'm like, what are they talking about? So when I finally got over to my stuff, like 4 days later, it was the guy in the tent next to me.
Okay.
I don't know whatever came about it.
Oh, man.
So a couple years ago on my birthday, I'm in front of McDonald's talking to Ian. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm waiting for my ex to pick me up. It's my birthday, and she's going to take me to the pepper mill. So this lady walks up and she says, "Hi, can I use your phone?" I said, "Yeah." So I hand her my phone. She makes a call. There's no answer. She says, "Can I text?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And then she's on my phone for a little too long. I'm like, "Hey, this lady that's coming to pick me up, she's not going to really take too kind if somebody's on my phone this long. Plus, the girl was good looking, and so what's her name would be jealous." So she hands me my phone back. My friend picks me up, takes me to the pepper mill, get back at about midnight, and I look at my phone. This lady has texted near a live version of a homicide that just took place with major details, and she was there. Like, you got to be kidding me. I call this lady, and I'm like, "Is this text for real?" She's like, "Yes." She describes this homicide that happened.
That she witnessed, or
She was there when it happened, and she walked off that scene right into my phone within minutes.
Whoa.
There
Like,
was
you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. So I searched the news. It's real. And they've already arrested the guy for it. They knew who it was. They arrested him. I mean, she went from that location where the homicide happened directly to me and used my phone to text her girlfriend details of this homicide that just took place. Now, why I was concerned is, I didn't want to get caught up in no homicide investigation.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, homicide don't miss much when there's text going,
Yeah. So did
Anything
anything
could
ever come
happen.
from that? Like, was that part? Did they use
No.
anything in your phone for the investigation?
No,
or
they never
anything,
did contact.
I lived on the
But they
third street.
arrested the guy the next day. But it just what the paper said and everything is exactly what this lady said on the phone. It was a
I lived
love
Third and
triangle.
Vine right there by McDonald's, like where Goldust is, and there was a Junior's ex-wife got shot in the back of the head there, and I lived right down the street in my tent on that same street, and I wasn't there that night, but my friend he lived right next door to her, and he and some Mexican guy came and shot her right in the back of the head.
in her tent?
Mm-hmm. Or I shot her and brought her back. I don't know, or shot her there. I'm not sure what happened.
Now, when that happened,
But they found out. They found out by the street cameras that it was that guy.
and like you knew about that after
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah,
How did you feel?
I was scared. I didn't know what was going
Did
on.
you even sleep?
But I guess she was kind of a thief and this and that. So it was somebody she left with and knew, at that time. But it was scary for me. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, and I left. Yeah, at that time because I was by myself.
Those are pretty crazy stories. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
After-
it's stuff like that that you just don't know what's gonna happen.
And that stuff becomes kind of regular.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's why like certain people sleep in certain places that don't sleep in tents. They'll sleep in a camera view.
Like
In
on
fact,
the-
I did that the first couple months I was here after that dude got shot, because it was already on my mind of her doing some crazy shit. So I used to sleep right in front of the cameras at Save Mart, right in front of the door, because my attitude is if she kills me, I don't want her to get away with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That thing with that girl when she did that, it was just like I was just like blown away. I didn't look at my phone for 16 hours or whatever. And when I opened it up, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Or the guy that burnt the tree down by the when I used to live on the Dickerson, he decided, we kept telling him put that fire out, he was just being stupid, and he burnt this beautiful tree down that was there, and now it's just a stump today. He burned it down by the river over there. Remember seeing all the lights over there on the street, and I was like, oh my god, my tent's over there, what's going on? And I was like, and this is when I was with my ex too, and he was there, and he burnt the tree down. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yesterday for me, this is not nearly as crazy as your guys' stories, but I was helping a dude getting him. He wanted a stove and what did he want? Stove, propane, and a cart to carry all his stuff in. So I'm gonna go to Walmart on Mayan because I know they have it. I was there the day before, and the alarms are going off, and everybody's outside, and the fire department's driving up to it, and I was like, part of me wanted to be like, dude, I got to see what's going on here. And the other part of me says, no, this guy's waiting on his stuff. I'm getting out of here. And I ended up going to Big Five. I think for me, that's like, I don't know. I haven't really had a lot of people ask me, like, what's the craziest thing that you've seen or that's happened to you? Have you ever felt in danger or whatever? And so far, so good.
You don't get that sense though, like I still get it today. If I walk up, like I was talking about earlier, if I go 4 blocks over from where everybody's used to seeing me, and I walk up to people that I don't know, most people that, like, especially in an encampment, they're real standoffish. They're like, but you have a personality that appears that people aren't that way to you. But even to me, being on the streets, that I could be all dirty and tore back, like in the jeans that I was wearing that day. You saw me, and still people are like, what's up? I don't know if it's my look or what, but you don't have that problem where people are standoffish.
A little bit, but I think the camera on my chest changes things too, because a lot of times people, the first thing they ask is, what's that there for? Why are you filming? Why do you have a camera? And then I explain what I do, and 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, that's really cool. right on. And then I lead into, how can I help them or what can I do? And when you're offering help and you get to that as quick as possible and people see that,
Yeah.
things change real quick.
And you do have a way about it that's like,
Because he's so nice. He's just
Yeah.
nice. And most people, I mean, like most people that I meet that are like that, wanting to help you, they're kind of snotty and they're kind of,
or
I
not
don't-
so much snotty.
I
They
don't
don't. They
know.
just don't have a concept as much as you do.
They
it
don't
seems
have
like.
the attitude, I guess, like you do. And because you come up, you approach us like
Yeah,
like you're one of us. You know
you
what I
definitely
mean?
have a personality that's for what you do.
So it's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's
think so.
good, and because you have that heart that it's just amazing.
Thank you. I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do. I
Yes.
do.
That's killer.
I do. But with that being said, there's still like we were talking about earlier on the car ride, I mean, there's going to be times where, everybody gets a shot and there's times where people take advantage and I know it and it's okay. And they just not going to get the same shot again,
Right.
but everybody gets one.
I try to operate on the basis of I would rather be tricked. Not that I want to be tricked. I'd rather be tricked than have a cold heart.
Yeah.
So like if I have something to give to somebody and they ask me, if they trick me out of it, they trick me out of it. But I'd rather be tricked than have a cold heart always and say no.
Well, and with this stuff, I have so much support out there from everybody online that like I know it's okay if I get tricked or
Right.
somebody gets me for stuff and hey, they end up whatever it doesn't go right. That doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean it's done. That just means hey, that person might not get the same help next time, but I'm just going to keep looking and I'm going to keep getting out there. My whole goal is to really help people do what you've done and you've done it all on your own.
Took me a minute, to realize what am I doing, I mean, I have a job, I have a why am I still out here, and sometimes I think it was for like the other people, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean that I help and because I've always helped
She
all
does help a lot.
my
So knowing you could help a little more
More.
was
yeah,
more motivation
Right.
too.
then to get a place, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like you. I'm all about helping. I'd rather give my last dime to somebody than
Too
yes.
often.
Well, and to be fair,
We were talking about that
I'm
earlier.
still I've gotten the only reason I'm able to do this is because I'm not perfect. It's like a seesaw. It's always imbalanced one side or the other. You know what I mean? But as long as you can kind of get back, so when it comes to giving to other people and taking care of myself, there's a balancing act there. And there are times where I drive by somebody who does need help and I don't have time and I got to keep going. That happens. I'm not perfect. I still got to go
Yeah.
pay my bills
Sure.
and deal with my own
Sure.
stuff.
Sure.
But if I have a moment or I have a backpack or whatever I think they could use, I'll give it to them.
Right.
But I don't like handing out cash, and that's just something that, I've stuck to, And there's times where I thought maybe I could this time, but it's a standard. It's just something I've done, and how do I pick and choose?
Mike's
I just don't. It's as
Mike's
simple
like,
as
you
that.
ought to ask him for
I found $100 bills.
I said no. I said no.
No,
I don't need a pound of $100 bills.
When you approached me and you wanted to talk to her,
Mm.
the reason I got so emotional, one of them is like, obviously I was close to her and I knew her situation very well, or a little bit of the little snapshot of it that I've seen of the whole thing that was going on. And I felt like that, because there was a time where I was able to give um, for other people. And it's I got caught on this thing, like the most effective way to give the money. What is the most effective or what is going to be utilized the best for, X amount of dollars or X amount of coats or backpacks or whatever.
Yeah.
And not, because inevitably some of it goes to waste or some of it gets sold off or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was why with her, I and I still believe that today, that in my opinion, even if it was my money that was spent, it would have been the most effective way of the few people that I know out there. That's why I don't know. It's hard to explain. So my thing is I got caught in the,
Not because he loves me now, though.
because I got caught in the effectiveness.
Nothing to do with
No, I
that.
got caught in the effectiveness, to dollar for dollar, how to give it away, more effective or whatever.
Mm.
Like Bill Gates is so effective at it. Warren Buffett gives him a grip of money to give away because he's so effective dollar for dollar doing it.
Yeah.
What he does, whatever stuff he does. So I got caught in that, and then being on the streets right there with everybody, you see the waste that goes on, and there's I don't know where I'm going with all this, but
Well, then on that note,
I get like I don't know how to say it. I get like
He said it wasn't a waste of money with me, and
Yeah.
I'm
because
just saying,
some people,
'cause
I'm sure you get that.
most people deserve it, and he's just saying that he thinks that I deserve it the most. Because
But not
it's because
no, I mean
he's
seriously, not
he
dollar
knows
for
what I've
dollar,
been
it's the
through,
best
he
money
knows I've
spent
been-
to help
effective,
her.
because
Yeah.
I see the groceries
he
go to
sees,
waste.
you know,
I see groceries go to waste, and I'm out
or
there
things
close
get
to it.
stolen out there on the
Or
streets.
or
and
there's
I-
some people have a school of thought that uh, because the stuff is given to them, you shouldn't give them stuff because then they won't work, or I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
you
yeah.
hear all that.
Well, on that note, I'm curious, how effective you think how I do things is? I mean, you're on the other side of it, and be blunt. Like, don't be shy. You don't have to sugarcoat anything. Let me know.
The little experience, or the little experience I've had with you, it's very effective, but it also depends on what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
To lessen the suffering, cold nights, a sleeping bag, yeah, huge. A tent, huge.
I think
Because
it is.
for a long time, you couldn't walk into Walmart and find a small tent.
I know.
Now, big tents are nice, but there's nowhere to put them, and they don't stay warm.
That's why I started my whole Amazon wish list, because I don't know how many times I would go to Walmart and they wouldn't have any of the things they need to get for people.
Right.
And at some point, I'm like, I'm just going to start a wish list, and people can send it to me from Amazon.
In those
Yeah.
terms, it's very, very effective.
But as far as more,
Other stuff, I would have to say that it just depends on the person you're dealing with, I guess.
yeah,
It really does.
yeah.
Um,
No, there is hit and miss for sure.
I'm aware of stuff that does not necessarily go to waste, but isn't stuff that they're normally going to keep anyways.
Okay. Like what would you say?
I don't want to be too specific.
It's okay. It's all right. I know phones a lot of times can be
I
something.
have that phone.
I know you still have yours.
I have
I'm
my
not.
old phone, but I said, Christy, you want the new phone? So the phone you bought me, I gave her and got my old phone back.
Oh, okay.
I just
we
don't
still
want
have
because
both
he was still
phones.
out there. I just don't want him to get it stolen
And
or broken. You
But
know what
I know
mean?
there's
'Cause the other
people-
I
phone's
still
already
have both
broken.
phones.
Okay.
The phone's already broken.
No, and
But-
I'm not directing anything at you, but I know
No,
there's a handful of
like-
people I've given
like-
phones to, and I see them in a month, and they're like, "Oh,
But listen,
another phone and another phone."
Well,
it's
it's
like,
just the
no.
streets. It's just the streets.
Yeah, it's hard to keep
and
a
the way
phone
it
on the
is.
streets.
Either somebody's going to
Super
steal
hard.
it, they're going to
Somebody
sell
steals
it.
You
They're
fall
going to.
asleep.
I mean,
I've had.
unless they're going to do something with that phone, like Mike, he's going to get him a job.
I mean,
you know?
my iPad, I left it at a friend's house to
I
charge.
think that it's going to be a waste for them. Most
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but most of them.
I think you
um,
have a good sense of
food,
what's going
clothing,
I'm not perfect, but I try.
tents, and anything to keep them warm this winter is the most important. I think.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
actually, the stuff I see you have in those backpacks. is
Anything to
all
keep them
great
warm.
stuff.
Anything to keep them warm, like hand warmers.
Who doesn't like
anything,
socks?
Right?
I mean,
Underwear
seriously.
clean. Yeah,
The
your
hats
backpacks
aren't
are killer.
necessarily an essential item, but it's cool to have
Well-
a good hat on your head, and it does shade your eyes and stuff. So
Yeah.
they're
So
cool.
I think just those things you're doing. I mean, is great. I mean, just the extra, phones and the
And-
like way he
and the
said
stuff
that
that you-
Ricky said you
that was,
he made a big old
interesting.
list and he's
Yeah,
so funny.
it was
He's
almost
so
endless,
great.
and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get what I can.
That's why I said get him some Tums.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
And then I was at Walmart, and I almost got on a wheelchair. And as I'm driving back, and I can't find him anywhere, and he took off. I'm like, well, I'm sure glad I didn't get him another wheelchair.
When I
Oh,
first
because-
met Ricky,
He's
3.5 years ago,
sorry.
I was going over the railroad tracks to meet somebody that I just met,
He's so funny.
and I bought a brand new wheelchair for $10, brand new, from somebody on the railroad tracks. And I was going to make a bike trailer with it. And I get to take it. I was looking at it about taking it apart, and I look over the tracks, and here's Ricky. I said, I can't take this brand new wheelchair apart. This guy over here needs a wheelchair. He had a wheelchair, but it wasn't.
It was tired.
It was
When
tired.
I met him,
So
he had both
when I
his
first
legs.
met him, that's how I met
He
him.
was walking. Yeah, when I met him, he was walking. I don't know.
Oh, he lost his leg 2 years ago.
Yeah, from what?
And Andy almost lost his too.
Is it diabetes?
Oh yeah,
Or
because
No,
Andy
they
had
both-
frostbite,
No,
right?
they both got frostbite. That was
I
that
actually have a
year.
little frostbite on my toe too.
Mm.
And in fact,
From that year I was out there by myself and
Ricky and Andy and Ian, but really Andy, Ian, and Jim, I offered them a place to stay that 10 days. At that time, I had a place. And Jim was the only one that stayed, and it blizzarded for like 7 days straight through Christmas, New Year's.
Yeah.
And Andy wanted to leave right after he got paid, dropped him off over here in Keystone, and then the next day I hear that he's in the hospital. He might lose his foot.
yeah, I've seen this.
And Ian got frostbite on his hands, and Ricky lost his.
So
leg
that's
that
definitely
year.
one of the worst things that has
Yeah.
happened to you and happens to a lot of
and it
people
hurts.
out there is frostbite.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts so bad. It's I remember many times waking up crying. I mean, just crying, and just because it hurts so bad. And I didn't realize I was getting frostbite though. You don't
Yeah.
you
You
don't
don't realize
realize. But if you're not covered up in the wintertime, especially this last
This
2-3
last
winters,
winter,
What-
whoa,
Me,
man,
Ian, and
it's
Jim
cold.
would
If
do.
you're not covered up, there like you should be, you're gonna lose a limb.
yeah. No, I know a couple people that lost some, and then I also gave out those sleeping bags I give out in the winter. Last winter, I gave out these 0-degree mummy bags, really nice bags. They were like $100 a piece, and I gave out probably 300 or more.
Wow.
Those are
throughout
nice.
the
I haven't
winter,
seen one,
so-
but that's it right there. What I did, and Jim and Ian and a few other, I would go to the car wash because I knew from my past experience with car washes before I even got to Reno that they have heat pumps in them and the concrete's hot. So I'd wake up in the morning if my feet were so cold, I would just go over to the car wash, take my shoes and socks off, and stand on the car wash, or even many nights sleep in the car wash because it is like sleeping on a waterbed. You don't want to get out; it's so warm.
That's what
But
I liked about
the car wash owner don't like it.
underneath the street. Underneath the street, you could have a fire in there and not burn anything down. You could have a fire and it kept it warm. We just blocked off one of the middle of the area, underneath there, and just kept one side warm, and it kept us warm. In summertime, I stayed in there by myself, and there were spiders this big in there. I was like,
Oh,
no
man.
way. I mean, I wouldn't even move off my bed. I was so scared.
I went in there one time. I couldn't believe you guys were in there because a flash flood or anything,
Yeah.
you don't hear it coming because it's down another area. Come
Well-
down that storm, as it's part of the canal
if
system.
anything has happened, I mean, you ain't gonna.
You don't.
If you
Yeah,
know how to
it's
swim,
okay.
you're not gonna drown. That's
Yeah,
the
but
thing, But
you're in a
because
tunnel. You are.
yeah,
drowned.
but it's gonna wash you out on the other end.
You hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Will was in there a couple years ago when it did flood.
Yeah.
I told him, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
There's
We
no way
cleaned
I'd been
everything out of it when they cleaned everything out when I moved into it. I mean, that place was full of crap and stuff, and my ex and a couple other people just cleaned the whole. I said, "Yeah, I'm not moving in there until you guys get all that cleaned out and sprayed down and all that stuff. I'm not moving in there." And it was fine in the wintertime. Summertime, no.
So
Yeah.
Never
now,
again.
going back a little bit, with the first day we were together when I met you and we went shopping, you guys were still kind of dating, kind of friends, not
we were
100%.
dating. There's just she was on the fence about me.
And
Oh,
now you're not.
No, there wasn't the
I
fence.
believe she would
It,
never.
it wasn't about the fence. It was about it wasn't even that.
I didn't believe that
I,
he was going to be anything but me.
I told you, in the store that I had promised this guy I was with because Mike kept running back to his ex, okay, at the time, and every time we get into just a little, we never really argued, but we got little things, people go through, and so I felt like he would always run back to her, and so when we would have this little differences or whatever, and so I was already dating this other guy that I was telling you about, and he went to jail for 6 months, and I started talking to him again, and when a little bit later, and I promised him that I would let him, parole to my house or whatever he
Yeah.
went through, he was gonna have a place to live. So when I promise people things, I try and keep those promises. And so when he got out of jail, he went to treatment, and that's just his stipulation where I felt like it was best for him to go to treatment if we were gonna be together and get his life together, whatever happened. Anyway, he ran from treatment. He was out for like 2 or 3 days, and I'm glad we got that chance to see if we were. I mean, for me it was like no, because I knew it wasn't gonna work because I'm in love with Michael, and I've always been in love with Michael, and I don't think you realize that, but he so I was like, I said, well, if Michael is over there where I always find him, that day when my friend turned himself back into the jail, I said then it's meant to be,
And he was.
He was sitting right there.
Mike.
And I haven't went to my ex's house in the last 2 months.
And I said, there's one thing that if there's one thing that I did for him was to stay away from that crazy lady. That I did that for him because they're no good for each other. And Mike is such a good person and is a great man, and he
And so
doesn't
now
deserve that.
You guys are gonna be living together.
Yes,
and
and we're gonna be together. We'll
So-
make plans, and we're gonna do amazing things.
You guys that's so awesome. That warms my heart. That makes me really happy.
We're gonna do amazing things.
I see Mike getting emotional again.
Yeah.
I see it
No,
happening.
it's not because of that. It's just like if ever the whole story of whether she tells her whole story or not, but just a little bit that I know, it truly is amazing to me that she's
Well, and so everybody else
she
out
has a
there
job
knows
and got off
too.
the streets, because very few women, let's face it, very few people, after you're stuck on the streets for a certain amount of time, the success rate is very low.
A lot of times, and I mean, maybe you guys can relate to this, but I've heard from other people too. Once you've lived outside and you've become accustomed to it, it's harder to go back inside almost. And
Well-
sometimes you come inside, things get tough, and you're like, you know what? Screw it. I've already done that. I know where I can camp. I know what to do. I'm just going back to that. And there's a lot of people that do that. But
It's my belief that a big part of that is the social network. So, like, when I first hit the streets, I'll be honest, these are people I wouldn't normally talk to. Part of it is maybe I thought I was better or whatever.
It's just where it came from.
But then,
Yeah.
inevitably, you have to have people you talk to. Otherwise, you go crazy. So you meet more and more people, and then at some point, you know too many people on the streets where it's a liability. You don't really get nothing done other than having a bunch of acquaintances, but it's easier in some senses because when you don't have nothing to eat or you don't have anything, you know a lot of people and you'll get something. And in my opinion, that whole topic of the homeless issue being tackled, I don't think that enough is given to the social aspect of it, of the network, because many people get off the streets and they go right back to the streets just because these are their friends. These are people they know, and they're not normally. You wouldn't normally have friends like that. And I read something the other day. We were talking, and it said, if you decide to
Probably
upgrade
would.
your life, it's true. That's how I see it.
I probably would.
If you decide to upgrade your life, you're going to lose 99%
I'm
of your
friends with
friends.
everybody.
And
You know,
and I have been off
because
the
I help
streets here in Reno, and I did come back to the streets to talk to people. And
a big holdup for you in moving forward in your life has been ID, right? For you.
it's just been
But I mean,
so maddening this last time.
yeah.
And I've been able to get down there and get my ID before, when a friend of mine stole my wallet. Somebody I knew stole my backpack, my wallet, and then actually this is my fourth ID.
Fourth, and I mean, it hasn't came yet. But last week we went to Truckee to California, so we went to the DMV to get him his ID, and they didn't even charge you because it had already been paid for. So all you
Right.
needed was a ride and a place to mail it to. So we're just hanging on and waiting, and
I'm
once that shows
so
up,
stoked.
now you're really ready to
And
hit
I'll
the
be able
ground
to get
running.
a Social
'cause-
Security card. I'll be able to get a job.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked without an ID, but not traditional.
Well, now and those jobs are becoming far and few between.
Well,
They're
last summer
harder
I
and
worked
harder.
just to get out of the heat, and I kind of had a feeling I was going to get burnt. I mean, I got rent for 3 months, but I was owed a lot more than that.
Okay.
But I was happy just to get out of the heat because I pass out when it gets too hot now.
I'm really excited to see, where your guys' journey goes together and to hand you that ID when it comes.
I'll be
Like
stoked, too.
that's one of my people don't realize it's like such an
It's-
inexpensive item. At the same time, I could buy anybody anything, and nothing is
Is
as
equal to
important
that
or equal
ID.
to an ID. Yeah,
That's right.
And
true.
that's why when I can give that to you guys and we've done it and made it happen, I know that this is the game changing moment that you've been waiting for, and I'm so excited to be part of it. So it's just, we're right
Yeah.
now in limbo, waiting for that thing to show up.
Yeah.
Is not easy, but it's
That was a
coming.
huge deal. And in fact, especially for Jim too, because I've been to that Truckee DMV before, and I've offered Jim a ride down there twice.
Oh,
For him to get down there and get it finally is big, and he's excited about it. He really is. He's all
his story is something it's just he doesn't seem like he pushes real hard, and he just kind of goes with things maybe
Jim is one of the few people.
because he never asks for much.
I
He
don't-
does. He's
Jim's
just
one of the
always
few people I
around.
trust. On this,
Yeah.
actually, really
Good dude.
one of two
He is.
that I actually
He is.
trust. And when I had work, when I had work, I would ask Jim to work with me
Yeah.
because I knew, like when we moved the 98-cent store, I knew he wouldn't steal anything.
Well, and when he told me his story of how he was stuck outside and what happened to make it all happen, and it's like, it's just been pretty much an ID and a couple other
Yeah.
little things that have held you back for a couple years now. And again, the time thing, it just changes out there. Before you know it, it's winter and then it's summer again, and a year goes by.
Yeah.
I
Right?
met Ian too when he was walking too. I've met him before.
Yeah, Ian could run 3.5 years ago. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with Ian.
Says
He had some
arthritis,
strokes.
but
I'm not quite
He had a
sure,
couple
but I remember he
strokes.
could run. That's another crazy story that day.
He had a couple of strokes in the last year. I know that for sure.
The when the pandemic first started, everything was closed, and there was only like one place open really, the donut shop that you could physically walk into because everybody on the streets was homeless pretty much. There was hardly any traffic. Nobody realized you couldn't eat any hot food unless you had a car because you couldn't walk through the drive-throughs.
yeah.
There was no
Yeah.
hot food. There was no
Yeah.
hot coffee. Nothing
You
if you were on the
still-
I mean,
streets.
I thought about that, but
Nobody
I've
really
forgotten
realized
now.
that.
Yeah.
And the donut shop was open. And the only place in this area that was open where I could walk in and get a hot cup of coffee.
Right.
And this lady comes running out screaming, and I look over there, and they had just got robbed. So I took off after this guy, which is not a popular topic on the streets, to chase and I remember Ian was across the street, and he went in pursuit with me. He used to be able to run. I mean, and we caught the guy, and it was stupid. It wasn't. She come running out like something else had happened, screaming, but he robbed the tip jar,
Oh.
and it took me 20 minutes to talk him out of giving me the money back. I'm like, dude, this is the only place we can buy hot coffee. You can't get hot coffee anywhere unless you have a car to drive through.
One tips.
So give the goddamn money
Yeah,
back.
that's somebody's pocket money.
know what I
That's
mean?
not like stealing stuff from a large corporation. That's somebody's pocket money. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Ian at that time was able to run.
Wow.
And I don't even know
now
what I
he's
would have
in-
did
And I
if
just
Ian
bought him a
didn't show
wheelchair.
up because the guy was much bigger than I thought.
And not that I just bought him a wheelchair like he scammed me or something. Like he can't walk. Like I saw him try to get up from one wheelchair to the next, and it barely made it. I was worried.
Strokes in the last year. I know that. He comes in McDonald's every day. And I just
I spent a lot of time with
I
Ian
love
and
him.
Jim.
Yeah.
I love him. He's a great guy. He's just you just can't understand him anymore. I just when he talks, I just can't understand him anymore, and it's
Between the
sad.
accent and kind of a mumble.
Mumble.
And not, yeah.
Last night I told him
But he made me mad one time. He played a trick on me one time, and I was so mad at him when I first met him. Him and his what's her name, Takita or
Makita.
Makita.
Have you met
Oh my
Makita?
gosh,
No.
The
she's
black girl, that black lady. She's a really nice lady.
Somebody told me somebody was dead out there, right, beside McDonald's, and so I go out and check, and she's laying there like this, like a princess. I don't know what was going on, but then I just met him, and he's scooting himself, and I know this man can walk because I've seen him walk. He might walk with a cane, but it's most time, but he walks, and he's scooting himself across the Keystone while cars are coming, and he's scooting. He's not even getting up walking when cars are coming. He's just scooting. Are you okay, honey? Honey, are you okay? He's yelling at me, yelling at her, and I said, listen. I said, ma'am. She doesn't move. She doesn't do nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go call the ambulance. I told Ann, I'm gonna go call the ambulance and the cops. And she goes, like that. I'm like, I was so mad. I was so mad. And it was so mad. So yeah, they were trying to play. I don't know what they were doing, but I used to sit there and watch them outside McDonald's. They'd steal
just
from
mess
each
with
other, and she'd
people.
run and take off.
Here's another crazy story,
Oh
though,
man.
Okay.
with Makita. So one time, she says, Mike, can you give me a ride to Western Union? I have a Western Union. I said, sure. So we drive over to this store,
Mhm.
and she goes in, and she comes out, and she said, they said they're closed. I said, they're not closed. I've been in here at 10 o'clock at night. Give me the number. And I walk in, give the guy the number. He gives me her money. You know, never had I seen before, like, the prejudice. She's black, right?
Sad.
She would have walked in that hot sun 2 miles for this guy to say no if I didn't give her a ride.
So they wouldn't let her in?
They didn't
They didn't let her get her money.
They didn't let her
They
get her
let
money.
her-
They
yeah.
let her spend money in there.
But
They
and
wanted
then
to
they
say,
let you
for
get
whatever
her
reason,
money.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
Wow.
we're closed, ma'am.
Yeah.
I was so mad. Never had I seen like the prejudices, you know, this shit she must go through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
No,
Something
it's
so
still
simple.
out there. It's
And
real.
This guy's getting paid to hand her the money. He's
And,
a Western Union agent.
Yeah.
and her story is
And
just
so I'll never forget that.
the
I will
way
never
she
forget
is.
that.
She's out
she
there,
would-
you know.
When they took her
when
child, she became a different person. But
she started doing
I'll
drugs
never
and stuff.
forget that when that dude told
Yeah,
her.
she said.
I knew they weren't closed.
Oh.
Well, CPS took her kid, and then after that, she just was all downhill.
She's been.
But I would still
a
give her a
rocker.
ride because I don't know what it would be like to be a black female on the streets of Reno. I seen what she goes through that one day. That wouldn't be nothing nice.
And
I
she's
felt
so
bad.
nice when she's not messed up or whatever.
but-
She's such a nice lady, and I know because I've seen
And she's
both
super
sides of her.
smart too,
I've seen both sides of her.
highly educated.
Oh my gosh, she can come. I mean, she is just out there when she's messed up,
And,
but
and I get that way
it's
too, not
sad.
out there, but like the other day, I told the donut shop guy, he makes me mad because when I first got here, the first week I was here, I met Andy, and I came out of Save Mart, and I bought some donuts and chicken, and I remember Andy saying, "Why would you buy donuts? You can get them out of the trash right there. They throw them away every night." I thought it was kind of funny, but I didn't say nothing. Right? Would you like a donut, Andy? Right? I bought them at Save Mart. And it was true. You could go there in the afternoon or evening and get all the donuts that they threw away. Now, the new guy that's been there for the last year and a half, he dumps water on all the donuts before he throws them away. And it just infuriates me. And now
Yeah, it's
he
sad.
wants to tell me like
'cause
I
there's
have a warrant for
people-
my arrest. You don't know. I haven't been in trouble in 30 years. So my record's old.
So he goes out of his way to
And
make
now
sure
he
no
goes out
one
of his
can
way
eat.
to talk shit at me when he
Yeah.
sees me walk by.
Wow.
When people
So I
are
have no problem
hungry, there
telling
should be
them to
nobody
fuck
hungry in
off.
this world.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
And in fact, the day I seen you, was that yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, yeah.
He told me, "You can't be here. Get out. Get out of here." And I wasn't even in front of the store. I was on the sidewalk, the corner of T-Mobile. So I sat down, took my shoes and socks off, and tossed my socks towards the store and told him to, fuck off because it just infuriates me. They go out of their way to ruin the donuts instead of even donating them or whatever.
Just
I don't
set
know.
them
There's
out
a
in
lot
a
of
way in
different
which
things.
everybody
It's not
can
like he's
have
losing
them.
any
McDonald's,
business when the homeless
I
people that
mean,
are hungry
we don't throw
aren't buying
stuff on
donuts
them,
there
but
because
we
you put
don't.
water on
But
them.
if you're gonna throw it away, I'm gonna give it.
And still
I'll
people
write it
dig
off.
them
I don't
out.
care.
People still dig that wet bag of donuts out and try to get dry donuts out of it. I see it regularly.
That sucks.
He's just an ass.
Yeah, I lived
I
in
know it's not his job to
Winnemucca.
feed the homeless. I get all that. But to go out of his way and lift 60 pounds of water, buckets of, sometimes he'll dump it in the bag. Sometimes he'll put it in a bucket and mash all the donuts up.
Not that you really want this, but I know there's probably people who are like, I hope he hurts himself lifting up all that water when he tries to do
Yeah.
that. You know,
Yeah,
like,
because I used to have.
that's kind of karma right there. If
they-
you're gonna go out of your way to screw people over,
They would
then-
pour they would pour soap on their food, and I've only seen one drunk man, homeless man over there all the time, and I said, "Don't be doing that." I told her, I said, "Do you ever do that again? I'm gonna kick your ass." I said, because I'm just it pissed me off because I've only seen one. I said I only see one man over here all the time, and he's a drunk old man, and he's a homeless guy, and feed him, So I take food out to him because
yeah.
Yeah,
if you're gonna throw it away, I'm gonna give it to him because if you're gonna throw soap on it, I'm not gonna let him eat it. That's that you make that guy sick, and he could probably sue you.
Wow. I always want to, now that thank
Sprinkle
you guys for
donuts.
hanging
No.
out.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
hanging out. Thank you for sharing your stories. And, if there was one thing you guys could say to everybody out there that, watches my videos and is going to watch this, what would it be?
Thank you for watching his videos, because it allows him to help people. And there's a lot of help it was. A lot. It really is.
Just keep helping, because he's doing a great job.
You know,
Just keep helping him.
Yeah.
Because Nate is a great person. He has a good heart. Very good
I can
heart.
think of 2 people that would have been cold the night before last if it wasn't for you. Because I know for a fact they lost all of their stuff.
Because I know I'm thankful
Jim
for you.
and Doc.
Well, I think that says it right there. And I thank all you guys because I couldn't do it without you. Like I always say, we're a team. And now we have hats and socks for sale. And all that stuff goes back into helping people and helps keep me doing what I'm doing. Put socks on people's feet, put hats on people's heads, and more to come. Thank you guys for all your support. And I'll see you next time.